Hi, it's Faye, and you may have noticed I moved back to my mama's house, and that is mainly for personal reasons, but I missed being here overall, and I also needed easier access to getting around town, which I did not have at the other house with my partner's family. So my partner and I are here in my mama's house again. Also, I changed my username to Roses in the Stars with a 4 instead of an A, and that is because I wanted to. My name is Faye still, and I wanted to help out some beginners of witchcraft. I have identified as a witch for probably 3 to 4 years at this point. Uh, Even though it hasn't been as long as a lot of other people have been practicing that I know, I do have opinions and I've helped some people get into their own idea of spirituality through witchcraft and paganism and the likes. So I guess I just wanted to teach you some of my tips. First of all, what is witchcraft? Witchcraft, as Google defines it, is the practice of magic, especially with bad intent for some reason, but witchcraft is the practice of spirituality aligned with the earth and its natural cycles and its magic. This can look different to every witch, but usually they'll be connected with the earth in some way or another, whether it be with plants, crystals, divination. These are all branched off from the earth and having a general respect for the earth and also for earth's creations such as humans, plants, people, rocks, dirt, all of it. And also the things that help the earth go do its thing, like the planets around us and the sun and the moon. You should respect nature and animals. With humanity comes a little bit more nuance, but in general, I think unless they give you a reason not to respect them, just have a default to respect humanity in general because humans are beautiful creatures on their own and are part of Earth after all, along the same lines of respecting the people. Respect the indigenous peoples of the land you're on, especially before spell work. Acknowledge those people, acknowledge the atrocities they've probably been through as indigenous people, are usually marginalized through colonization, which is another topic of that being a witch is understanding that witchcraft is political. Technically, witchcraft is protected under our constitutional right to free speech, free religious expression, and all those sorts of things, at least in the US. Who can practice witchcraft? Well, anybody who, in my opinion at least, a lot of witches have different opinions about what witchcraft is and who can practice, but in my opinion, anyone who respects and works with the earth and its natural cycles can be considered a witch. Why should you be a witch? To manifest your greatest reality, to self discover is the biggest one, to show respect for your land is another huge one, and to give love to other people, to connect with other people. Anything as long as you're keeping it safe and healthy, which also means that as a beginner witch, your first spell should probably be, in my opinion, a cleansing spell or a protection spell. I would recommend a cleansing spell first, and remember to acknowledge the indigenous peoples of your land, and this will make your spell work a lot more potent. At least I have personally discovered. Also, journal, 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 journal. I think every witch and everybody in general should be journaling, but especially when you're a witch and especially in the beginning of your practice when you're starting to learn things, here are some journal prompts to get you started. First, how do you define witchcraft? Second, who do you want to be? Third, what do you want to manifest into your reality? And fourth, what do you prioritize? Why? And what would you like to prioritize and why? Also ask yourself what you want your reality to look like. Overall, I think witchcraft, like I said on my TikTok that I made a day or two ago, well, witchcraft is a practice. It's a craft that you can work on, can develop over time, and will evolve over time with you. And I recommend to research as much as you can into witchcraft, but to also trust your own gut instinct and to know what your own personal beliefs are before you step into this. The beautiful thing about witchcraft and creating your own spirituality and spiritual path and paganism, things like that, is that you can create your ideas first, know who you are, know what you believe, and then practice how you believe in those things in your everyday life. This can look like having self love, affirmations, rituals in general to keep yourself on a track to the person you want to be, the things you want to achieve. I would recommend researching in this order. First, start with the seasons and specifically about where you are on the earth in relation to the seasons and what is actually happening in the earth that makes these cycles happen and go around. Notice the little things around you first in nature. Notice the season you are in. For example, I'm in the US in California, so the leaves are just starting to turn brown and the grass is starting to get drier, but the stars look a lot brighter. So little things like that are really important to being a witch in general. I really recommend looking into the practice of mindfulness as well. It's a DBT skill, which is therapy that is kind of geared towards people with BPD, but I just recommend it for anybody just to be mindful and to notice the things you want to notice and to acknowledge the things you don't, but to embrace the things that you know are true about yourself and the world around you. Then I recommend looking into your personal astrology chart, which is a huge topic, much larger than you would ever think before getting into witchcraft and astrology. But this will eventually lead you to learning about the signs in general, what your own birth chart looks like, numerology, the planets, what they mean, what their cycles look like, our solar system in general, numerology, and the elements. Fire, earth, air, and water are very important to keep an eye on during your practice. The elements, numerology, and your intuition, and color magic. Those are the four things I would recommend really starting to dive into with research and what your own personal notations are with those things too. For example, if your favorite color is blue, but someone else feels like blue makes them sad, those are going to be two different practices for you in your witchcraft using the color blue. And then this will also help you if you want to learn tarot, numerology, and the elements and the seasons. I recommend just any witch learning tarot because it encompasses astrology, numerology, planets, the seasons. It incorporates everything, so it's a good place to start learning the metaphysical workings of our spiritual realm, I guess you could say. And also take notes. Journaling is not just saying, like, here's what I did today or following some prompts. It's also taking notes and researching so you can look back and see what your research has developed into and anything else, anything you want to reflect on, you'll be able to because you have it written down from however long ago before. I still kind of identify as someone who's starting to grow out of my beginner phase, but I need to meditate more. It's another thing, as meditation is very important. I still am kind of growing out of my beginning witch phase, even just a few years in. I do feel pretty confident in these tips though. Maybe I'll revisit them in a later video, but anyways. This has been Roses in the Stars. I'm Faye, and thank you so much for watching. All my social media is Roses in the Stars with a 4 instead of an A. And I love you. Bye.